Are there some things you've made up in your heart and mind that you will never forgive? Maybe in a previous relationship, your partner lied. So now you've made up in your mind that you have zero tolerance for lying. It's a deal breaker, and in this case, a marriage destroyer. In this part of the forgiveness series, I want to start a dialogue about the times we've said, "I'll never forgive that." Do you have a list of things that you have established that you just could never forgive those things? Is it cheating? Is it poor communication? Is it lying? Showings of disrespect? Repeat offenses? Whether you've actually experienced these things or not. Maybe your boyfriends in the past have never been disrespectful to you, but you just know that it's something you would not forgive or stand for. But then, what you gonna do when your husband disrespects you? What happens that first time? Is that it? Is he cut? No room to change or fix it because you will not tolerate that? Does our forgiveness have conditions, limitations even? And I suppose there's a difference between forgiving someone for something and continuing to stay connected to the person because they did what they did. So I mean, yes, I forgive you for your adultery, but I'm not gonna stay with you. How about some of the things we might find on the day-to-day? Babe, I told you I don't like jokes about divorce, but you keep doing it. Honey, I fell through the toilet again today. How many times do I have to tell you to put the toilet seat down? I find that it's actually the smaller day-to-day infractions that cause great strife in the marriage. Cause that stuff creeps up on you, right? How many times do I have to forgive you for leaving your shoes in front of the door and I trip over them every time I come into the house? Furthermore, is it possible to show the same level of forgiveness no matter the level of offense? What if your spouse keeps breaching some level of trust? Have you reached your limit? I find that we usually reach what we think is our limit when we feel like no discernible action is being made to change. So if it doesn't look like your husband cares that something bothers you, it's easier to not forgive him because he's not making an effort to fix that situation. Granted, depending on what the offense is, I may feel much more strongly about one issue over another. Some things, for me, are simply easier to forgive. I don't care that he left the toilet seat up. I expect it, so every time I go in the bathroom, I'm prepared to put the seat down. But to somebody else, it's a very big deal. It's the principle of the thing. Maybe him leaving the seat up after you've repeatedly asked him not to makes you feel unheard, ignored, and disregarded. And no, I'm not saying that my husband leaves the seat up. This is all the more reason why it is impossible and important to work towards an effective communication with your spouse. But let's get back to these limits. Right when I go to think that this is the last time I'm forgiving him for that, the Bible hits me with Matthew 18:21 and 22. Then came Peter to him and said, "Lord, how oft shall my brother sin against me and I forgive him? Till 7 times? Jesus saith unto him, I say not unto thee until 7 times, but until 70 times 7. Peter said to himself, 7 times is more than a reasonable amount of times to forgive a person. At the time, in Jewish custom, the rabbi would encourage that 3 times was an acceptable limit to forgive. So Peter, out here thinking he's being generous by saying 7. But Christ basically said that's not enough. And I know I'm not about to have a tally chart checking off whether I've reached my 490 forgiveness limit. Nah. And no, if you are that kind of person, Jesus is not saying to deny forgiveness at the 491 mark. But I think like Peter sometimes. I think I'm being generous by forgiving my husband, like he should be happy I've decided to forgive him. But all that does is open the door to entitlement and pride. And wherever there is pride, there is contention. I encourage you, whatever list that you have that you've told yourself you could never forgive your husband for that, I challenge you to burn it. We should never say never. Don't tell yourself that you are not capable of forgiving. Please engage me and the community in the comment section below. The point of this is to start a discussion. You see me, I tend to have more questions than I have answers. So I'll catch y'all next week with a special guest speaker right here on Forever Newlywed.